overall, what were your thoughts on the rivalry with DDP?
I loved it. I mean, it was great. He's my buddy. You know, we have very similar psychology, is ring psychologies. Um, we both are. He was mentored by Jake, and I wish I was mentored by Jake. You know, um, but I mentored myself off of Jake's stuff. And I watched so much of his stuff to pick up so much stuff. Um, but yeah, no, I love that feud with me and Paige. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was really strong.
Me too. Me too.
But let me say this though: if you're a good enough worker, you don't have bad matches. You know, like you just no matter how shitty your match is, it's still going to be a decent match at a certain level. And if you can't do that, then you're not at a certain level. So when you take two guys who are at a really high level and you put them together, you're going to have just really good stuff. So I mean, Paige, and plus I find that there has to be one guy who's going to have veto power, like on the ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And Paige still did with me and him. And then after that, then I started to get my own veto power. It's not against the office or anything, but with the board, like who you're working with. You know what I mean? Like people start to respect you enough that you go, let's not do that. Let's try this. Like I had that in ECW, but then I didn't have that again in WCW so much. Well, I guess I did with Benoit, which led to Paige. And because Benoit was like, yeah, whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then with Paige kind of had, he had the final say on everything between us. But then after that, I had the final say, like with Canyon and Saturn and stuff like that. Because you have to build up the rapport and you have to get respect talent wise. Even if people don't like you, if they respect you talent wise, they'll let you do what you need to do. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I do have to ask too, in this rivalry with Paige, he kind of famously or infamously would like come to guys like Randy Savage and have like a big stack of papers, like, here's what we should do in this match. And they would almost was he doing that shit with you?
Yes and no. I mean, Paige knows that I'm a firm believer in having that if you're doing your homework. You know what I mean? Like, so like I used to come in ECW. I'd show up at the arena with like 6 napkins taped together that I like that at each bar I came up with a different idea that was at the night earlier in the night. I mean, the night before. And I'd write down, like, if I do this, and this, and then I'd go to the next bar and I got an idea, this. And then, I'd tape them all together. But the difference was, a slight difference between me and Paige's. Mine weren't set in stone, but his were like, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Which is weird because Jake is always very much, every time I've talked to him about it, he's always like, you have to react to the crowd. So whatever's happening out there, you improvise
I agree
based
with
on what the
that. I
crowd is
agree with
doing.
that. On indie shows, I just call them as I go. But
Mm-hmm.
on TV shows, you got to hit time cues and stuff, and you can only play with the audience so much because it gets boring to the home crowd if you're working with the audience too much. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a really good point, and certainly something I never thought about. So that's an
Yeah.
interesting
So with
take on
TV
it.
matches, I wanted more tight. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that Paige came with ideas. You know what I mean? That he came with a set plan. And Paige respected me enough. Respected more than enough that if I said no, let's don't do this, let's do this. You know what I mean?